Don, can you believe in the year 2026 we just got 2 new Virtual Boy games? Isn't that kind of wild?
I mean, they got cancelled in the first place, don't they?
Yeah, I guess it's a little asterisk on that. Very much like Star Fox 2, officially coming out, 30 years or 25 years after its initial plan. We're getting these games 30 years after they were originally planned to come out on Virtual Boy. They were canceled at the last minute, and they have not seen a live day since then. The ROMs had not even leaked at all for either game, being Zero Racers and Dragon Hopper. And I have to say, Don, after playing each game for about an hour at this point, I'm actually surprised by both of them. I have to say, one of these titles is a secret killer app the system never had, and the other is Zero Racers. I don't know how you feel about these games, Don. I had a lot of fun with Dragon Hoppers, to the point I'm like, oh, this is what the Virtual Boy should have been all about. Whereas with the other Zero Racers, I'm like, I get why they canceled this game.
I feel similarly. To be fair, one of them is made by, I still think, the Nintendo goats of all time, Intelligent Systems.
Yeah, that's
The other is Zero Racers.
And apparently, I was reading earlier from Reddit, so I haven't fact-checked this, but the director of Dragon Hoppers, or Dragon Hopper, whichever, is apparently, he was the director of the first Paper Mario, maybe the first 3 of them or something, were heavily involved in those games. So yeah, this is not a nobody team here.
Yeah, and the art style of Dragon Hopper also reminds me a lot of Panel de Pon's art style.
I can see that totally, yeah, and it works really well with what the Virtual Boy is capable of, which is not something I can say about Zero Racers. So let's go and start off with Zero Racers, and then we'll move on to Dragon Hopper. Is it Hopper or Hoppers? Sure. I forgot to double check. One S
Dragon
or 2?
Hoppers.
Hoppers. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I want to lead up to the actual good game here. That being said, I am glad both these games are here, even if I don't like one of them. I think it's awesome to finally have these games out on a on a platform you can play on. So, this is the new Virtual Boy. It's crazy that we even have this as a thing, and it's so cool to have these old games that were finished finally released and available to be played. So even if Zero Racers may be disappointing, especially as an F-Zero spinoff, really the only truly new F-Zero we've gotten in 30 years now, besides F-Zero 99. I'm just glad that they exist. That being said, Zero Racers is kind of a drag. I will say that the more I played and the better I got, I would have pockets of fun, which would instantly drop off a cliff as soon as I ran into a wall or something. It just took me out. Because this game is so twitchy. It's so easy, even on the beginner difficulties, easiest levels, it's so easy to screw up and just ruin your run, which even, granted you can rewind it with the NSO save states, but even then, it's just not that compelling. I see the vision for it, but every track looks the same. You're stuck in these tiny corridors. They have these annoying hazards that shove you into the wall or into the floor or something.
Yeah.
And it's just not good. For what an F-Zero game should be, it's just not that fun.
When I was playing for the first level to sort of learn the game properly, of course you get used to its quirks. Oh, right, R is of course moving or accelerating. You're just getting used to the quirks a little bit. And then immediately, I came into a sharp turn. I was like, why is a sharp turn so incredibly harsh in the first level of this game?
First level! Yeah, you probably just ended up against the wall, or you began pinballing.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, for those who don't know, this is, in concept, it's like an updated version of the original F-Zero on Super NES. You still have 5 laps. You have the rank out system, where if you're not at a certain rank or above by each lap, you get game over, basically, or you have to retry the race. There are, your boost work kind of like F-Zero on Super NES, where they're in discrete segments rather than being tied to your health. But in this game, you actually get the boost instead of per lap by collecting power-ups on the track itself with a giant R on them, which at first I thought stood for repair. So I'm like, oh, is this fixing my shields? But no, it's the boost. No. They have the standard recharge lanes like in the original. Though even here, they're kind of tricky to get into without bouncing against a freaking wall, And so I did say, Don, the more I played, though, I started to get the cornering a little bit better. I think the key with those, which the game does not tell you, is to feather the gas. You can kind of if you feather it, you kind of shift your angle a little bit tighter, and that gets you the corners. It actually reminded me a bit of GBA games where you want to feather the gas too with F-Zero. But you know what really got me, Don? Even once I got that down, the freaking vertical parts, because this is a fully three-dimensional racer, but you have to go up and down the points. I could not get the handle on that at all. I would always just ram into the wall or the floor, and it was so tricky to get, and that only becomes more the case the deeper into the game you get, where they have even trickier level designs coming out.
it felt so incredibly twitchy, like you were bouncing up and forth, back and forth, like really heavily.
Yeah, and when you get stuck on a wall, any wall, like it's hard to get off it at times. It just demolishes your health. So you can be
Oh
doing
yeah,
well one moment, then you're just instantly screwed a second later, you know, and that's a little annoying. And like, I would legit be like, oh, this game's not too bad, then I effing hate this game, you know, like moment to moment.
I mean, there's much going on, is it? There's just not much going on. Yeah.
There isn't, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
actually, that speaks to another point I was going to say. It doesn't really feel like a racing game. It feels more like a game of survival with the occasional opponent.
Sure. I feel the opponents make little difference outside of being a nuisance in your way.
Exactly. It almost feels more like a time trial where, like, the goal is just to survive and make it in time where you don't rank out, you know? And getting the boost almost feels like more of a hazard at points because it makes it easier to screw up. So yeah, you really have to keep an eye on your map to see where the straightaways are to, you know, see when to boost. Now that being, you know, also all this being said, there are some things this game does I think are pretty cool. I think, you know, I think the, I kind of like how there's like random updates on the HUD itself. Like, you got a good boost at the start of the race, or a bad boost, or you're now in rank 1. But the thing is, you can't really be reading that while you're playing the game because you're trying to survive and race and not die. And the, you know, the presentation for its time, you know, looked kind of futuristic, and it's a type of gameplay or type of game we'll never see again. You're never gonna see a wireframe racer from anyone ever, and that's because it's not great. You know, the wireframes are a little tricky, but I will say it's a lot easier to understand what's going on here than it was in, say, Red Alarm, where you had multiple layers of like objects kind of interfering, whereas here, like, you can kind of understand what's going on.
Yeah. I also think the best looking part of this game were unfortunately the game over and race finish screens.
Am I the only one that thought the finish line or the checkpoint at each lap was a hazard at first? I was trying to fly in the gaps between the X because I thought it was going to take me out.
Yeah. You even see the beginning of the race. It's like, oh, this is a bit ominous, having this gigantic X at the beginning of the race. Oh, it's gone now. Oh, it's back. What?
It's so weird. And also, you know, I initially played this game in handheld mode, which you're not technically supposed to do or be able to do. But I filmed my camera to make a video of it, so I was watching on through OBS. And the strange thing is I was playing mostly fine on that. So I also played in stereoscopic 3D with the headset as well. And it didn't really add that much, to be honest. The only time I really felt the stereoscopic effects is when a racer would come like from behind me, or like was right behind me, separating the plane. And that was kind of cool, but it doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah, it feels as a Virtual Boy game, it's simply just not really all that impressive.
As any kind of game, but yeah, you're right though. Especially as a Virtual Boy, it doesn't really show off the capabilities of it. I mean, the most impressive thing, as I said, is like the wireframe polygonal models. The problem is, as I also just said, it doesn't look that great. You know, like it's a little confusing visually. All the stages look the exact same because they're all just wireframe walls, and it's not all that interesting. And maybe that's one of the bigger marks against this game too, Don, is just like the presentation, like in general, is lacking. Every stage looks the same. There's no music at all, which sucks in a game series known for its music. There is none outside of like the menus and title screen and game over screen, basically.
Yeah.
Mid-race, there's nothing. It's just sound effects.
Yeah, it just...
Yep.
The entire time.
Some guy like humming in your ear. You don't love that, Don?
No, I don't. No, thank you.
So, do you have anything else to say about Zero Racers, Don?
Is there anything else to really say about this game?
There really isn't. This is an entirely skippable game. I totally get why it was canceled, even beyond the Virtual Boy itself being canceled at some point. And yeah, it's nice to have. I'm glad it's here. It's not a great game. It's not even a good game, and you definitely don't need to go out of your way to try it, except for the curiosity of seeing what this game actually was. So I see the vision for it, but the hardware wasn't there to support that vision at the time. So Don, if I had to give it a review score right now based on my, not fully playing the game, I would give it a disliked.
I would be the same, yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to what actually is a shockingly good game, in my opinion. I don't know how you feel. Being Dragon Hoppers, a top-down platforming game that reminded me a little bit of Jumping Flash on the PlayStation.
Yes!
Anyone played that game, right?
Oh
a game
my God,
all about taking massive leaps. That makes really good use of stereoscopic 3D because you can actually see the layers the level is made up of, and also like a little bit of Zelda too. I think largely for the top down, and also the vibe I got from a dungeon a dungeon area I reached with the music. Not really, it's not too puzzling. Beyond just getting around, you do get keys though and unlock doors, so it is a little bit Zelda-like. But yeah, it reminded me of like Jumping Flash combined with a Zelda-like, and it's one of the most original games I've played on the Virtual Boy, if not even recently, and I was having a really good time with this game. It's got a story, it's got graphics you can understand, it's got fun gameplay that's unique. I mean, man, how did you feel, Don?
I feel the exact same way. Like I said at the beginning, the art style reminds me a lot of Panel to Panel, of that sort of era of like game of intelligent systems. Like this very cutesy, cartoony art style that feels very lived in. It fit that description to a T, right? It's like immediately the story grabs you in, and then you get to this open room where you touch your fairy, stuff from, hey, press R to jump, and then you see immediately the layers flip, and that instantly makes a click in your head what type of game this is going to be.
It does. Like, it sells you on it immediately, and in my playtime so far, it's just kept delivering on it, and it's just something I haven't seen before. Like, for one, it's, you know, it's a shame that it was canceled, but I'm glad we're able to experience it now, and it's even hard to fathom why Nintendo even canceled it beyond the fact that they, you know, again, stopped making Virtual Boy games entirely.
Sure.
And it's such a shame because I feel like if the Virtual Boy were to have a killer app like this, it probably wouldn't have changed anything, but I think it would have at least increased the, you know, the reception the Virtual Boy got. I think people would appreciate it a little bit more if they had launched with like a killer app like this. Like, it's so good to me, Don, so far. Like, I feel like Nintendo, like, why didn't they make a Mario game like this? Why didn't it launch with a game like this? You know, instead of Mario Tennis and Mario Clash. Like, this could have been a Mario game, honestly. You swap out the main character for Mario, you know, explain why you can jump a little bit higher than normal, and bam, you got like a solid launch game right there.
Yeah. The only other game that makes me as happy as this is Virtual Boy Wario Land. Sincerely.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And there's always a but to Virtual Boy games from I like this, but Dragon Hoppers is not the but. It's like, I like this, dot.
Yeah, exactly. Period. End of statement. No, I totally agree. Now, granted, neither of us have played all the way through the game, but and maybe we'll follow up at some point if we do. But yeah, based on everything I've played so far, which is across 2 bosses, you know, multiple levels, I think, an hour of gameplay, like, it's shockingly good to the point that I do want to keep playing, which is a hard thing to say about Virtual Boy games, considering how uncomfortable it can be to play in this thing, right? And that's coming from someone who's wearing a shirt like this. You know, I'm used to being in the zone. But no, Dragon Hoppers, like, it actually makes use of the medium. And, you know, to your point, too, even, like, with the art style, like, it's readable. Like, they've made these detailed sprites. It has a whole story with, like, the cutscene-based images. And it's just really well done. And it just feels good to play. You know, if you've got, like, you know, when you jump, you bound high in the sky, but you also got, like, the flutter jump type thing. But then, did you play far enough, Dawn, to unlock the second form of multiple forms you can get in the game?
No. Please elaborate, though.
Yeah, so you unlock different, like, transformations. So I turned into, like, a different form of dragon where I could do, like, a ground pound. So I reached a boss, like a dragon that was flying around.
That's cool.
Which you had to jump in the air, you ground pound his back. It feels so good and so satisfying.
That sounds fun, yeah.
And then there's also magic abilities you get, too. Like, there's a whole screen of magic abilities. I only have 2 so far, one of which is a spell that restores your hearts. I think that's the default one. There's another I got, which I think it seems like you unlock them kind of randomly because you kind of choose from, like, a deck of cards and you don't know which one you're going to get. The other one I got, though, was an Earthquake, which is basically a screen clear attack, which is actually what I used to take down the boss at the end. I'm like, oh, let me try this attack after bouncing on him. I'm like, oh, that took him out. All right, what a surprise. And that was fun, man. Like, I'm really surprised by how I've never left... I don't think I've ever felt like, after playing a Virtual Boy game, like, oh, I want to go back in and play more, you know? Like, besides maybe Wario Land, as you said. But even that, I think I'm feeling even more here.
No, that's fair. I think with Wario Land, it's still technically a 2D game. It's a nice use of the medium, but also not all the way. This feels like something that uses it all the way, like in that Jumping Flash style, where it's exploring a 3D environment around you.
That's a good way of looking at it. Yeah, Wario Land kind of like augmented the 2D gameplay we already knew and loved. Whereas Jumping Flash, this game, Dragon Hoppers, feels like it's doing something new. Like something that actually completely makes sense for this type of hardware, you know?
Yes.
And it just, yeah, I'm just surprised not only how it worked, but that fact that I can't recall seeing another game quite like this before. And that's really cool. The fact that there actually is a compelling reason now to really play this game, or to on Virtual Boy, if you have it. If not, pick one up. You can still buy them. You know, the new Switch version, I mean. You can't buy it on the original Virtual Boy, so don't buy the old hardware. I have behind me there, actually. And yeah, man, it's just a good time. I mean, I don't know what more to say. Like, the music's catchy, visuals are good, gameplay feels great, it's a good showcase of the hardware. It's a whole package. It's a whole package. Which sucks that they canceled what's arguably the Virtual Boy's best game.
Isn't that just the story of the Virtual Boy's life?
It really is. And I say this as one who has a soft spot for the Virtual Boy. I don't blindly hate the system. I actually like some of the games on the platform. Like I said, I owned one behind me, but man, this game just, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, and I like that feeling, you know? So it's such a shame that we didn't get experience this 30 years ago, but at least maybe now it'll be better appreciated in this day and age.
To me, it's interesting because obviously, the Virtual Boy never came out in Europe.
Right.
So there were a handful of times where I got to play it, like at Japanese bars, and a few times when I was in America. This is the first time I played like long-term Virtual Boy. I don't dislike it as much as some people seemed it was. It was more fun than I thought it would be. It does help that there is also stuff that nobody has replayed before. But at the same time, like stuff like the Tetris game and Virtual Boy Wario, it's really cool to experience that from a different lens and a new point of view.
It really is. Nintendo got some heat for, you know, making this a thing / a requirement for the games, but I'm like, man, I'm so glad that they did make this. Like, this is the only way to re-experience these games outside buying original hardware, which is like, I think $500 these days at a minimum, probably even more so. I think the behind me was $500. And it's like, that's not a realistic way for people to pick it up. And you can buy, you don't have to get this one. This is, I think, $100, but you can get the cardboard version for $25, the Virtual Boy. Or if you have Labo VR, you can use that instead on your Switch 1. And I think it's just really cool Nintendo provided a way to re-experience these games. Now, that being said, I do wish that they would finally give us a true means of playing these games on your flat screen, especially now that they're seemingly done releasing games on Virtual Boy, even though there are still unreleased games on Switch. These were the last two of the ones that were announced, I believe. Meaning, they're probably done, especially as they also added the color filter update that they said they would be adding.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool, especially as it can change between different Game Boy looks, like Super Game Boy. How do we have a Super Game Boy filter for Virtual Boy, but not on the Game Boy app? Don, we can't use Super Game Boy colors on the Game Boy app.
If I understood how Nintendo's NSO strategy worked, I would give you all of the answers. Unfortunately, it's Nintendo and their NSO Online strategy.
It's incomprehensible, exactly. So,
yeah.
Well, Don, do you have any final words or thoughts on either of these two games before we wrap it up here? If not, a review score for Dragon Hoppers, a tentative review score.
I liked it a lot. Zero Racers, not so much, but not a surprise there.
It's 0 racers out of 10, I think, is how I would put it almost. Again, it's not irredeemable. I do see the vision there. It just doesn't amount to much. Dragon Hoppers, though, I also liked it a lot so far, and that could possibly even grow more the more I play. Yeah, it's a really good game. I highly recommend you check it out. I mean, I would say I don't know if it's necessarily worth buying the hardware just for, but if you are at all curious about about Virtual Boy, I think this game definitely warrants. That may push you over the edge. I would, recommend it at that point because it's a really fun game.
If you're in a few regions where this is happening, they are putting the cardboard one on a discount right now. So.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and it's not in Europe and America, strangely enough. It was in Japan and I think Australia.
Okay.
So it's really, but hey, if you're in those regions, go pick it up because there's more stuff for you to try right now than there ever was for Virtual Boy.
Well, it actually is true, and also you can use this to play other VR games like Breath of the Wild in VR, for instance.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
and it looks even better on Switch too if you have that because of the higher resolution screen. So it's good stuff. Good stuff in my opinion. But this is coming from like a vintage, long time Nintendo fan. But yeah, definitely check out Dragon Hoppers. The means. Skip 0 Racers outside the curiosity of playing a canceled F-Zero game. So, what might be the last?
That thought you just popped into my mind. Now I want to watch those Labo VR videos with the Virtual Boy headset.
You could. You can watch the Virtual Boy Labo VR video inside your Virtual Boy on Switch too.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. All right,
Yeah.
everyone, that's all we got for you. So with that, thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you think of these games if you tried them for yourselves. Are we on point or off base when it comes to Zero Racers and Dragon Hoppers? Let us know. Or if you're at all curious to check either of those out at this point. With that, everyone, thanks for watching. And Don, where can people follow you at if they want to see more from you?
They can find me at Nintendo as NANT and DAAN.
All right, there you go. With everyone, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.